Welcome to episode 58 of the Brew Crew Scoop. It is Thursday, or what day of the week is it? Yeah, it is Thursday, June 26th. Got off day today after the big day game yesterday between Misiorowski and Skenes. Brewers are 45 and 36. They got the best record over the last month plus in Major League Baseball, and it's come a little bit on the back of Jacob Misiorowski. Um, Series against the Cubs, Twins, and Pirates since we last met, and Miz and Skenes was the headliner throughout MLB, it seems, for these weekday games so far. So we'll dive deep into that. But Jacob Misiorowski is the talk of the town, a sellout on a Wednesday afternoon in Milwaukee yesterday.
Yeah, it was crazy to see national media and all that just keeping to talk about it. And it seemed like Miz didn't really get a lot of talk in the minors. And then obviously, I guess the start he had and we saw in person, that first start, obviously, definitely put his name to the broader baseball world. But yeah, it's crazy to see him suddenly adopted to the likes of the like most elite pitchers. But when you're doing what he's doing, um, obviously your name's going to be out there. If you consistently pumping triple digits and starter as a starter. So pretty crazy. And then that game, honestly, obviously the offense or the start by Miz was impressive and what everyone's talking and thinking about. But the offense actually manufacturing some runs, albeit in some little league type ways, almost with some uh, poor O'Neal Cruz first steps and stuff like that. But it was definitely good to also see the offense get it done against a top two arm in baseball.
Yep. Going all the way back to last week, the Brewers had a three-game set at Wrigley that turned into a two-game set. Middle game getting postponed, but they split those two games. And then they went to Minnesota, and the bats got really hot, as you mentioned. 17-6 on Friday win, 9-0 win on Saturday, and then a 9-8 win on Sunday. Um, and then the Pirates took game one of the series in Milwaukee. A little bit of a tough one. Caleb Durbin had a stolen base in the ninth inning but it ended up being he slid past the base and that cost them their first out in the inning. Feel like that's tough. I don't hate him running there, but certainly want to be certain that you have the base stolen, and he did. He just didn't stay on the bag. And then Saturday, like you mentioned, bats staying hot, 9 runs and a 9-3 win. Sorry, I said Saturday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the day game, as we mentioned, Skeens versus Misiorowski. Um, Miz started out with three no-hit innings again, following what was six perfect innings in Minnesota in his start. And Brewers won 4-2. They got a couple low exit velo hits to score some runs off of Paul Skenes. Um, yeah, it's been pretty crazy to see through three starts Misiorowski having no hits through the first few innings, and I almost wonder had he not sat so long for a big inning in Minnesota, if he would have even given up that hit because he went six perfect, and then in the seventh, after sitting for about a half hour, came back out, gave up a walk and a home run immediately, first hit of his career. But I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but I was just gonna bring up a conversation that we briefly had, the Miz and Skeen sellout during the week. Just wanted to say that there's some banter about maybe if Mark spent more money, we'd have more sellouts. Maybe not always weekday day games, but maybe we get more fans and more fans there strictly for the baseball and not the theme nights. And um, if Mark put more stars in the field, I would like to hear your take because clearly this shows that people will come to the games when there's marquee players.
Yeah, I think that's partly true, but it's in our case, right? It was a two-sided marquee event, ironically against the Pirates, which are worse than the Brewers at having good players on their baseball team. So it was funny, but their one good guy happens to be Skeens, and we happen to match him up against our most hyped pitcher anyways. But I think it's kind of ironic because people are like, oh, we need to spend more on big stars. And it's a rookie in his third start that we drafted and developed. So I think that's kind of funny in itself. And really quick to add to that, he's a guy we drafted and developed. And if he wins Rookie of the Year, which now he is the favorite, not to jump ahead to other parts of this, we won't get a draft pick from it because we kept him in the minors partly to progress his development and let him throw more strikes or maybe to suppress a year of service time. But I think, as Ryan said, I'm pretty sure if you win the rookie of the year, you get the year of service time anyway. So we would have still not successfully suppressed his service time while also missing out on the draft pick. But to go back to the conversation, yeah, obviously more star power is always going to, put maybe more people in seats. But I think this was a pretty unique scenario of the last of Paul Skenes, who for the last year and a half has been the biggest name as far as starters go. Even if he's maybe Scooble's been a little bit better, I think Skenes gets more hype. And Miz, very sudden rise in the national baseball media. So I think it's a pretty unique scenario. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if we were better and had more stars, maybe there's more people in the seats. But I think we also do pretty well in attendance, regardless. And I don't think having even Shohei Ohtani on the team, I don't think every Wednesday is going to be a sellout in Milwaukee necessarily. And I also am not too worried about us having Shohei Ohtani. I think I texted you and I said we could have signed Juan Soto. I don't see that boosting our yearly attendance a ton. Um, and and then I kind of tailed the conversation into not spending on stars. Drafting stars is one thing, but that's not that it's out of Mark's hands, but that takes, I think, a little bit of luck and then a really good front office to do, and we've done it. But signing stars often is just not going to be achievable for our market. I don't think. Like we're just can't outbid the Yankees and the Dodgers for a Juan Soto, um, or probably even outbid teams for a player like Alex Bregman. Um, but oftentimes when we paid up, it's kind of come back to bite us. So we've almost been saved. And honestly, like you just said, we're the hottest team in baseball right now. And I think arguably more important than star players is winning baseball games to get people in the stands. And we've been doing that. And now we have Miz, and our own stars haven't really fully been producing, at least Contreras, for example. So once some of those guys get rolling, I think we have a lineup of four, 3 stars and a couple local stars, your Sal Freliks of the world. And I don't know. I don't think that's anything to complain about. And I don't know how much more it would boost attendance if we happen to have one more big name on our team.
Yeah, like I said, don't hold your breath because Mark's not spending the money. Anyways, he's not all of a sudden going to boost the payroll to 200 million. So it doesn't really matter. But they talk about how deep our farm system is now. It wouldn't hurt to at some point make another, like, I don't know, Christian Yelich type trade where you trade four top
I
whatever.
also think we really lucked out in Christian Yelich because I
Yeah,
don't think anyone thought we were getting the Christian Yelich we got those first 2 years. And if they were, we would have
sure.
had to give up a whole lot more. And it just so happened that we also happened to trade prospects that were apparently terrible.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's
shout out
true.
to Marlins for wanting those guys. Happy to give
I think
them.
we had a discussion one time though about like when's the last time the
It
Brewers
was,
gave up a serious
yeah,
prospect,
no, it was
and it
probably
was
like that.
quote unquote Brinson.
Well,
Like,
if you ask Brewers Twitter, they really fucked up with the Priester trade. We gave away a top 5 future
yeah,
prospect, but
true.
in reality, yeah, no, it was probably that trade. And you know what? If you're not gonna prospect hug anyone, I'm happy it was Lewis Brinson. No offense, Lewis Brinson.
Honestly though, when's the last time we gave up a prospect and we're like, dang, that stunk. Like, is it Brantley and the Sabathia deal, which even still we probably still do that deal
Oh
again,
yeah, you're saying a
knowing that
prospect that
like
that
turned
ended
out.
up being good. Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause obviously
I
at
don't
the
know.
time Brantley player to be named later, but yeah,
Right.
trying to think of other young guys. What's I don't know.
We like to give him up in the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah, for hand him out.
Shane Smith. No. Yeah, I don't know. But obviously it's easier said than done to make the trades, but I don't know. I just feel like it injects some sort of life into the fan base and I
I think
mean,
this year is
but so
actually
does
a good opportunity to do that, for the
yep.
record.
Yeah.
Not to jump ahead to where I kind of wanted to go
No.
today too, but yeah, I
But
think that's another thing.
so does guys like Misiorowski and Churio, so I'm not gonna take that away. Like that those type of prospects do that as well. So and like I love these other guys on the team. Like I love Sal and Terang and everything, but they don't necessarily put more butts in seats, I
I
guess,
don't know. The
is
ladies
good.
love Sal.
That is
He
true.
loves
Sal is good
Sal.
looking. That's true. All right. Well, I'm really curious to hear who your untouchable pitcher of the week is.
You fellas are untouchable. Is that the thing? No one can get to you?
Yeah, yeah, it's Miz. Since we last talked, 11 innings pitched. He did give up the 2 earned runs we were talking about, but it was in a tough scenario. Tough in the sense that he had to sit a while because his team was scoring so many runs. But yeah, he had that no hitter cooking, came out, gave up. I think it was a walk or was it a single? Either way, and then
I
the
think it was a
homer.
walk homer because it was only
Yeah.
one hit in that
Yep.
game.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, in the last two starts, he's given up 3 hits, 3 walks, and has 14 Ks. So not bad. Also want to give a shout out. Quintana had a good start for the first time in a little bit. I feel like 0 earned over 6 innings, 1 strikeout, which is kind of funny. That's kind of the way I think he can do stuff, though. He's just a veteran if I've ever seen one, and he's kind of always been a pitcher like this, where he's just really familiar with his stuff and knows what he has to do to succeed. So I want to give him a shout, and then 2 relievers: Grant Anderson, 5 innings pitched since we last talked, 0 earned, 2 hits, 0 walks, 5 Ks, and Trevor McGill had one 4 out save as well as 2 normal saves and gave up 1 hit, 2 questionable walks, and had 4 Ks since we last talked. So Trevor McGill is getting it done. He's a guy I was thinking about the other day where obviously I'm happy we have him and he's getting it done, but I'm curious once he gets to be a little more expensive through arbitration, what a guy like he will fetch because I'm sure the Brewers won't hold on to him and pay him because we tend to churn out relievers, but he that 2 pitch mix is apparently all he needs. Sometimes he scares me with the his just delivery with that fall off. I always feel like
Yeah.
he's going to be wild, but he's not really that wild, and obviously has gotten it done. So very happy to have him on the back end.
Yeah, even though I want the Brewers to spend a little bit more money, I'm fine with not paying relievers or catchers really either. I mean, like early career, like team friendly extensions like Contreras signed in Atlanta are fine for catchers, but I'm all for not paying relievers. Um, I mean, like Josh Hader has gone on to show that, yeah, we probably could have signed him to an extension if we had wanted to, but he's like one in like however many
And we've
closers
also been okay
slash
without him.
relievers. Yeah, exactly. He's one of how many relievers and closers that, most of these guys have like a 5 year peak in a
Well, yeah,
career
and if
at
we were a
best,
different
at
team, I
best.
think you could justify it. But you
Right.
mentioned our spending earlier, so
hmm
yeah,
That money could be better spent in a lot of different places. Um,
like pickleball courts.
yeah, sand,
Yep,
soccer.
sand. Definitely
Uh,
soccer.
who's your hot hitter of the week?
Oh, stop dropping on fire, Ricky Bobby. I'm on fire. He's so hot right now.
There was a couple hot hitters, but I'm kind of going between two. But I'm gonna give it to Isaac Collins. Since we last talked, he has a 1.137 OPS, 6 singles, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 10 runs, 8 RBI, 6 walks, and a stolen base. Um, yeah, I feel like we've been talking about him a lot, and I think I'll talk about him a little bit too later. But he has been more than I think anyone could have dreamed. He's been good in the field and surprisingly good at the plate. But otherwise, Yelly has a 1.167 since we last talked with 10 singles, 4 doubles, four 4 runs, 13 RBI, 3 walks, and 2 steals. I wrote my run stat twice. Weird move by me. But yeah, it's obviously good to see Yelly getting it done again. Hopefully he can keep rolling with this and uh, be what all of Milwaukee wants him to be. And then I wanted to also give a shout out to Joey Ortiz. He had 11 singles, 2 surprising home runs for 6 runs and 9 RBI since we last talked. And then Bryce Trang's also been getting it done as well with an over 900 OPS. So kind of interesting guys that have been lighting it up, but they have been real hot.
All right. Yeah. Yelich has really turned the page in the last like month or so, just about the same time the Brewers record has been as good as it has been. So hopefully he can keep it up and he's proven the last couple of years that he's can still be an above average to really good outfielder. Or I should say bat because he's not playing the outfield anymore.
Yeah.
Um, all right, looking at the standings, Brewers are starting to close in a little bit on the Cubs. The Cubs did also win their last two as well as us, but 3 games back. We've played the same amount of games now as them, sitting right now. So three games back, which is a true 3 wins back in that column. The Cardinals are a game and a half behind us, and then the Reds are a game and a half behind them. Looking at the wild card, the last week or so, the Brewers have sat in a wild card spot, so they have a half game lead on that second spot over the Padres in the third spot. Looking at the other divisions, the Mets and Phillies are tied for first in the East. The Dodgers are starting to pull away in the West a little bit. Um, and then in the NL wild card, the Phillies have a 2.5 game lead above the Brewers. Um, in the American League, Yankees are just ahead of the Rays in the East. Tigers are really pulling away with the AL Central, almost a double-digit lead over the Guards. The Astros again are doing it every year. It seems like they lose players and you kind of think you're going to write them off, and then you just can't. 6 game lead over the Mariners. Um, and then looking at the AL wild card, the Rays are in first, Blue Jays behind them, and the Mariners behind them, and then a big pack of teams within 4 games of that last spot. So getting close to the halfway point and getting close to the All-Star break. So standings starting to mean something, in my opinion. Normally about this time, halfway point is when you really start to look at what's going on. Unless you're the Rockies and you were 9-70, you could probably to do something a little bit sooner. But that's where it's at. Brewers are clinging to a playoff spot and closing the gap in the Cubs.
Yeah, I think it's also starts to matter a little bit more because we're a little closer to the deadline and teams got to start making that decision. So good to see.
Um, Transactions, injured list. Got anything for us?
Yeah, I know Garrett Mitchell hurt his shoulder during his rehab stint. I don't know if I saw his second opinion he got yet, but it didn't seem like good news.
I think, yeah,
Um,
first opinion was surgery, like eight to
yeah,
10 weeks. So,
yeah. And then I think Luke Adams hurt his shoulder as well. He's out bit. And then I saw the news for Brock Wilkins officially out, and he's out 8 to 10 weeks with a patella dislocation from, I think, celebrating the first
yeah.
half win for
hmm
Biloxi. So, um, yeah,
You
that's
know,
not ideal.
I think I might have been mixing those timelines up, but I thought Wilkins was 8 to 10, no surgery, and maybe Mitchell's was surgery in a different timeline.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
whatever.
We'll see. And then, yeah, I think we might have already talked. We obviously already talked about Woodruff, but I think he threw at least a pen, and then he should be going out on a rehab soon, I guess. I think Nestor might have also thrown a pen, which is a name we have not talked much about in the last few months. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when he gets healthy because of the depth we have in the rotation. But obviously, we thought highly of him when we acquired him, and he's been a productive major leaguer. So.
Yeah, you got to figure it's if everyone comes back how they're supposed to, which doesn't always happen, but if they do, that there will be a trade. They're not gonna have too many starting pitchers. So that's honestly kind of the goal, whether it's a Nestor or Quintana, like you mentioned. But
I
yeah,
also wonder too, though, depending on who they trade, um, obviously non-contenders aren't going to really want a rental starter. So you got to imagine too, there's probably a chance it's a Chad Patrick, Logan Henderson, Tobias Myers that maybe get nets you a better player as well. So not saying I've given up on any of those guys at all, but obviously sometimes you got to play ball in the trade market and you give up decent players. So um, one way or the other, I think there will be some starters possibly on the move.
yep. Um, all right. Garrett Mitchell, that was on the rehab assignment. I don't know if we mentioned last week already. I think we may have that. Perkins was on that rehab assignment, so hopefully we can get him back soon, as well as Brandon Woodruff.
Yep.
Um, Real quick, because I just saw it, I want to add a loser of the week segment. Matt Garza was tossed coaching a 9U game in full uniform and arguing with the home plate umpire as if he was a major league manager. Seems like something I would have did when I was like 12 years old. Think it was cool to get in the umpire's face, but he's actually an ex big leaguer. So loser of the week, Matt Garza. You should look it up. He looked really
Yeah.
freaking stupid on the video.
Can't say I'm all that surprised. He wasn't really known as like a cool-headed pitcher, so
Yeah, yeah. What a dork. Anyways, around the farm.
If it hadn't been for those meddling kids. If it hadn't been for you meddling kids. Ah, meddling kids. If it hadn't been for these meddling laddies.
What do you got?
I saw Marco Dingus has stayed hot since his promotion to Appleton. So obviously he was lighting it up in Carolina with an over 1 OPS, but now he has an 899 OPS with our Timber Rattlers. So he's still getting it done, average over 300. Very impressive. And then Eric Patanti had 3 home runs over 4 games last week with the Mudcats. Brighter young prospect in the org. I saw Tyson Harden had a good start since he got promoted to Biloxi. And then thought I had one more. 1 second. I know you had one, but I'll let you save that for the end. Weren't you going to mention someone whose dad is participating in a home run derby in Milwaukee later this
I
week?
do have 2 prospects
Oh.
that I was going to mention. First one, Eduardo Garcia. He had the longest on base streak in the Midwest League, 26 games. And then, yeah, Jaden Fielder. He's got 1322 OPS over his last 10 games, 2 homers, 2 triples, 2 doubles. So, kind of thought that he maybe just a legacy signing. It does look like he's playing in the, I think, Arizona Complex League. So who knows what the competition really is, but yeah, he's actually hitting baseballs. I don't know. I guess I just figured it was kind of like a favor to Prince. I because I'd never really heard anything about his son actually being good at baseball. So, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, Prince home run derby. Him and Bronny gonna be going at it on July 25th, I think, after the game. That's cool.
Yep. I think he left out. There was a
Um,
pretty big deal. Brewers traded a pretty big prospect to the Astros. Wes
who
Clark.
was that?
Wes Clark.
Oh yeah, I
He's out
forgot.
of here. I think, yeah,
Darn.
we maybe got some cash. But I think some
Nice.
people are kind of speculating that move was maybe to open a spot for Wilkin in AAA. But as we talked about, Wilkin has since gotten injured. So hopefully, at least if and or when he gets back, it's you can keep rolling because he was having a very productive year in Double A.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw Matt Wood start to hit again in Double A. He's a catching prospect that had a really nice year last year. Started really slow, but he's a guy that I don't know. Anytime you have a catcher that also knows how to use a bat, it's a nice thing to have on your baseball team.
Upcoming schedule for the Brewers this weekend at home. They got the Rockies and Nelly. So I'll be there tomorrow.
And a happy hour.
Yep. Oh, I'll be there for all of that. It'll probably be about 12 hours at the stadium tomorrow. Um, and then they hit the road for the Mets and the Marlins. Um, that's pretty much all I had in the rundown. I don't know if you got any final thoughts.
I was gonna say, in the month of June, I just want to go through some OPSs, kind of check in on guys, and there's a couple guys in particular I wanted to, I guess, address their turnaround. But first of all, in June, Isaac Collins has over a 1 for his OPS, so that is impressive. Yelly at 975, obviously also getting it done, and then Bryce Terang at 777, which is good for him, right? If he can do that with his glove, he's obviously a plus player for this team. But the next 2 guys, Joey Ortiz has a 762 OPS with a 301 average, and Caleb Durbin has a 758 OPS with a 265 average, but a 346 on base percentage. just wanted to give those guys a shout for getting it done. If they can hit even a little bit worse than that for the rest of the year, well, obviously worse than that. I don't expect Joey Ortiz to hit 300, but if they can be around a 700 OPS, even a 650, I think they really help this team a lot. You saw some of the damage that can be done when those two guys are either driving runs in or on base for the top of the order. So very impressive. And then Sal Frelick's hitting 291 as well in the month. And then I just wanted to kind of jump to the bottom of the stats. And Reese Hoskins in June has a 153 batting average with a 537 OPS. So he started real hot and has not been getting done as much, but luckily kind of the rest of the team has been. Other than William Contreras, he's only hitting 208. At least a 322 on base percentage though, but he's struggling a little bit still. But
Luckily, Andrew Vaughn is on the way.
dude, hey, he's actually been raking. I don't know if you saw
Hmm.
that. Yeah, between Andrew Vaughn and Bobby Dalbec, go
Hmm.
out and see your Nashville Sounds.
What about like a so Contreras obviously still has the finger thing, which I still think might be affecting his hitting, but it's on his glove hand. What if you trade Reese, you teach William first base, and then you bring up Jefferson Caro
I think
to be the
I don't has
backup
Caro
catcher?
even fully catching it?
I don't know.
But
I was just thinking about ways to get Hoskins money off the books, and then
well,
I
it's
don't know,
only gonna
bring
yeah.
someone else in. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just kind of been a disappointment. I mean, he seems like a good dude, and I'm definitely rooting for him.
I
But
mean, overall in the year his stats are still pretty good because he started hot.
no, he's fine. But for a team like us to pay $20 million to him for over like 2 years
Yeah,
or
but now we're
40
in
over
the
2 years,
second year of it, so
sure.
I think we'll be on the hook for a buyout type thing next year, but I don't think anyone's really paying for him anyways. I'm fine with it. Hopefully in the playoffs he can come up clutch or something. People
Yeah, you
forget
know what
really
they say,
fast.
if you hit more home runs than the other team in the playoffs, you pretty much always win the series, unless
Mm-hmm.
it's
Big brains.
the Brewers hitting 5 home runs and the Mets hitting one. That's the one caveat.
But I was gonna ask you, I was gonna pose a question. We kind of already hit on it with the
Mutual
pitcher
option
talk.
next year, $4 million buyout.
Yeah, so
So we're
that
gonna
would
be
be
paying
off
him.
the hook. But yeah, um, I guess what would your ideal deadline go as far as who you give up either? Would you be willing to give up any of those young pitchers? Tyler Black, I know we've talked about before. I know we wouldn't have any issues
I mean,
with trading a Dunn or any of them, but
at this point, I mean, he's like what, 20, like 25.
is he that old? Yeah,
I'm
he
pretty
is.
sure.
24.9.
So I don't know. I mean, if he's not in the picture for this year, like, and
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like he's in the picture for this year because Jake Bowers is still on the team,
And
and
what
I
do
get it. He was
you
hurt to
like?
start the year,
What do we
but
go after though? Right? It's got to just be a third baseman or shortstop. Probably someone who does
yeah,
both, maybe.
yeah. In
But
my
otherwise, we're
opinion.
not adding an outfielder. You're not realistically adding a catcher. You're not adding a starter.
Oh, are you doing the questions and the answers? Jeez.
Well, yeah, I am.
I don't honestly I feel good about I feel good about catcher. I feel good about the right side of the infield. I feel good about the outfield, and I feel good about the starting pitching. I think every playoff team needs to bring in like one reliever just cause some expiring guy. Some guy
You
who's hot right
have
now.
Craig Yoho and Brian Hudson and Ellis Figueroa
Nah, just someone
all in the
cheap.
minors
We'll trade some
and Pylons.
18-year-old in single A for some reliever that's hot right now on whatever team. And then I'm telling you, it's a formula for success. And then if we're gonna make a splash, it's gonna have to be the left side of the infield. And I honestly don't really care how we get it done unless it's like one of our top five prospects. Um, Trade one of the 17 starting pitchers you have, even if it's one of the controllable guys like a Chad Patrick or Tobias Myers. Um, Trade if you can do it somehow with someone on an expiring deal like a Quintana or Nestor, do it that way. Or like I said, I can't remember the last time we traded a prospect and really, really regretted it. So if you want to trade one of your big guns outside of like a Mate or a Pena or a I don't know the big guns in the Brewers prospect ranks. If you want to trade a bigger prospect, but not one of like the top ones to solve your third base or your shortstop problem and slide Joey Ortiz over, who has been hot actually. Um,
They both
that's why you got to get it done.
been hot.
You can't go into the playoffs and expect to win the World Series with Caleb Durbin and Joey Ortiz in your lineup every day. And not to mention, Caleb Durbin's been fine at third base, but he does not look like a third baseman to me.
Hey, he
He's got a
grades out
noodle
better
on him.
than Chapman on defense. DFS, I think DFS anyway.
Well, good for him.
Or sorry,
But
defense runs it. Yeah.
I saw someone tweet recently that we're like one injury away from Monasterio playing every day and uh who was it coming back up? Someone coming back up to be
You
a
said you
backup.
want a reliever who's doing well with a team that might be willing to deal him, right?
Yeah,
You
who
ever
we
heard of
got?
Hobie Milliner? He's got a 2.06 ERA with the Rangers.
We got plenty of lefties.
Oh, come
Give me
on.
give me some sort of righty flame. I don't know.
Lefty flamethrower, you mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even really know who still like would be an option though in
I
the
don't know,
market.
honestly. I just feel like every time you're contending, I feel like people go and get a reliever.
Yeah, no, I meant more, sorry, for the third base shortstop discussion.
Oh, well, I still think it'd be really cool to get Nolan Arenado somehow, but
I don't, I mean, you just said how the Cardinals are like arm in arm with us. So
no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
unless they want
That's
a
what I'm saying.
starter, we can do a little
No,
handshake
I just
deal.
know there was a lot
The
of
money is also weird.
no, I know. There was just a lot of Nolan Arenado trade talk in the offseason, but it probably doesn't make sense in division. Even to swap major league players, you're probably not doing that with the Cardinals. You might do that with the Yankees or something, trade a major league hitter for a major league pitcher in a pennant race, but you're probably not doing it that way. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
Ryan McMahon's really struggled this year, but if there's a way the Rockies could eat some money and we gave
Hmm.
him like a Tyler Black, I think we've talked about this. His stuff would, I think, play well there, and the Rockies really don't care about organizational success anyways. So that'd be cool. But I'm not sure that's something. But I
Yeah,
do know.
maybe
Go ahead.
maybe the Cardinals trade us Arenado and then the Rockies pay the rest of the contract.
Yeah, you could probably pitch it to him at least.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Yeah. I think otherwise there was an ESPN article this week about like the best players that might get traded, and the number 4 player was Freddie Peralta. I don't know where the hell that came from. That would be something. That would be, we probably would have to get something good back to be dealing an ace that has an $8 million option for next
Hmm.
year. But I know it was something we talked about last pod, right? So
Hmm.
interesting, but don't quite imagine that happening. But yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, Ryan McMahon would be interesting. ESPN right here actually gave him a 60% chance of a trade, which I feel like they've probably said every year for his whole career. But they said best fits. We're the third best fit. The Milwaukee Brewers. He also does have 2 years and 32 left on his contract. So yeah,
How much? 3 years and 32?
2 years and
2 years and
32. So
32?
maybe they could eat something, or maybe
Gee, that,
they actually have a reliever, Jake Bird, I think his name is. He's actually been pretty good this year. I know I dove in a little bit on his like advanced metrics a little bit, but that was interesting. I don't get some of these. It has Pete Fairbanks as a 60%. The Rays are rolling, maybe though.
yeah, but the Rays don't make any sense ever with trades.
Yeah. Hey, Nolan Arenado, 30% chance, Scoop. He's there for you.
Give it to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me quick scroll through here, see if anyone else grabs me. But yeah, it'll be interesting because the NL Central's got 4 teams over 500. So they're Jake Bird made this article. Damn, ball knower. Reese Hoskins was 33. News to me. IKF, no thanks. It was funny to see him hitting last on that Pirates team, and he does hit like 290 because he's all contact. But
Yeah, I've never really
Luis
understood the
Urias,
IQ appeal.
Luis Urias, third base. He's been hot
No,
this year. Oh,
I'm not a fan. I've never been a Luis Ruiz guy. I
I
know he's
can't
kind
imagine
of
why. Yohan
all hero
Moncada,
around.
47. Come
Yomo
on.
Okada.
Come on. I was calling for the
I would be
offseason.
fine with
He's due to
that.
be healthy, too. He's so due to
Oh,
be
I
healthy.
would be fine with that for
That'd be something.
sure.
Yeah. And I actually remembered I did have one more thing to talk about, and it was Logan Henderson. Jake McGibbon, I think he writes some stuff for Brewers Fanatic, but he on his Twitter, he posted a side-by-side comparison of what Henderson's been working on in the minors. And it looks like he has been kind of adding a little bit of a steadier pitch mix because I know a lot of people kind of said basically a two-pitch guy, which he wasn't quite. He was more of a three-pitch guy, but either way, that four-seam changeup combo wasn't going to be enough to be a starter in the league, and he's actually been working on his cutter and slider a bit more in his last handful of outings, or at least throughout this year in AAA. So, um, and I think I have some issues with whatever Stuff Plus that I always see that Twitter account. It's a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know everything that goes in those metrics, but a lot of the times, like veterans that know how to get stuff done have shitty stuff pluses and good results, and then young
Hmm.
guys have really good stuff plus and really bad results. But all of his stuff plus is right around 100, which is obviously still pretty good. I think that's average to, but if you have multiple average pitches, obviously that plays them all up. And all of his pitches actually have been performing well by that metric. And grading out pretty well. So if he's a guy that really can have a true four pitch looking mix, I think that bodes really well for his future, and the Brewers' future. So just wanted to shout that out, and it was a good post. So interesting, and I'm sure. Well, I would think we'd see him again this year, but I guess we were talking about all these arms, but we'll see. But
I think we'll see him back in probably the next maybe month or
yeah,
so. I think they want to suppress his inning count a little bit. So,
yeah,
I mean, the stuff's definitely there. If he can help them win later in the year in a playoff race, I feel like they'll use him in some capacity.
yeah, yep. And I was gonna say, I don't know if you wanted to give a final ruling on what Jacob Misiorowski's uh, horizontally moving
Oh my
pitches.
goodness.
What do you
Yeah,
think of that 97 mile an hour slider?
it's whatever the pitcher wants it to be. It's such a gray area from slider to
I think
cutter.
you're just mad because your cutter and slider were both about 72 miles an hour on a good
Yeah.
day.
Ooh, 72 is a warm up. No, I think it's funny. I just think it's funny that there's like people, including Jonathan Lucroy, like almost arguing about what it is. It's like
Yeah, I try to stay off
it's the
Jonathan
same
Lucroy's
thing.
Twitter for the record.
Yeah, true.
Would love to have him on. Would love to talk some Brewers with him. Probably stay away from the political
Yeah.
sphere, but I know he loves our country. I'm sure he'll have a good July 4th coming up. But
Yeah,
yeah, dude, I
he's a
love
funny guy.
old athletes on Twitter though. Some of them just like it's like who are you talking to? But
Yeah.
it's good content, I guess, or good to read through. But
Yep. But
yeah,
yeah, slider cutter, it's not the same thing. Like if people throw two, it's not the same thing, but I think a lot of guys throw it the same grip. It's like
yeah,
a little bit of a feel thing. I don't know, it really doesn't
I don't
matter.
know, but. I know. All I know is I hope Miz figures out this tip pitching that Dallas Braden caught on to.
Yeah. Yeah. To
Yeah,
to me, last thing, a cutter's a cut fastball. That doesn't look like a fast like it's supposed to be a fastball with a little wrinkle on it. That's not a fastball to me. That's got some serious movement. So
yeah,
whatever.
it's crazy.
But
I want to see him throw a nice 12-6 curve that's like 80 miles an hour and just watch
dude,
guys way in front of it.
even his he has been throwing
Yeah, I know he has that curve
breaking
a
ball,
little
but I know
bit.
it's not
Yeah,
slow. But also that changeup has looked kind
yeah,
of
everything's
disgusting
looked
when he
good.
locates it.
Everything's
So
looked good.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
he's been insane.
Well, this was the Jacob Misiorowski pod. I have a feeling we'll have more of them in the next 6 years,
Yeah, I
but
wish Keen was here to
we're the
glaze him
Brewers.
too, but
5 years. So
nah, 6 years. We'll probably extend him next year. He'll have a
yeah.
TJ in the middle, and it'll all be good.
Gee, gee. All
Better
right.
hurry up.
Go Brewers.
Go Chinooks.